Cindy. I retired early from my 20-something career as a sportscaster, covering the Bulls, the Bears, the Blackhawks, the Cubs, the White Sox, and really every other college and high school team in Chicago. So what do you do after that? Well, you start a podcast. That's what I did with my teenage son, Jason. And the result is The Sportscaster and Her Son. Yes, I'm the baby boomer, a mom. We don't get along. We don't have a lot in common, but we both share a love for sports. And we always have great sports conversation. Even better, our guests in the interviews. So come check us out. We're on Podbean and the Barroom Network, or really wherever you get your audio. The Sportscaster and Her Son podcast. See you there.
You're listening to the Barroom Network. The following program is intended for all audiences. Welcome to the South Burbs Hitmen podcast with your hosts Joe Mandel, Steven Zimmerman, and Chris Gonzalez. We're bringing you the White Sox coverage you need from the perspective of true Southsiders. Grab your Kaminsky dog with an ice cold beer and meet us in section 155. Everyone get on your feet for your 2021 South Burbs Hitmen.
That ball hit deep. Way back. You can put it on the board. Yes. Jimenez in the air. Left field. He's your hero tonight. Thanks, Cubs.
Over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges throws. Out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
Alexei. Yes! 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 History! A perfect game by Mark Burley. And what an unbelievable play by Dwayne Wise.
First pitch starts now. What is up, everybody, and welcome to this episode of South Burbs Hitmen. I'm your host, Joe Mandel, and I'm joined by my White Sox brothers in arms. That's Chris Gonzalez and Steven Zimmerman. Gentlemen, what's going on, boys? We got a solid win streak going.
Well, personally, I think that this team has been doing better ever since Zim tweeted, "Hope Perez broke his fucking toe."
It's true. It's all because of Zim. That's why the win streak has happened, right?
No, it's got to be because of Joe, right? Joe left town for a few days, and the Sox started winning. So
he's not wrong.
Is it coincidence? Probably not. You'd have to be some kind of idiot to realize that these two events that seem completely unrelated and that have no connection to one another whatsoever are, in fact, actually completely related, and they do directly influence one another.
They do, and for those of you wondering, the Sox are undefeated since I went to Florida. I think I left on Tuesday. There was a rain out. There was a day off in there, but they haven't lost. And they were telling me yesterday that if I didn't go back, if they lost yesterday, these guys were going to send me back to Florida.
Yep. I think that's a hit you're just going to have to take for all of us, Joe, that if the Sox start losing, you're going to have to take a trip down to Florida.
That's right. I will. And for those of you who don't know, we do have our little ticker at the bottom to remind you and me. Our guest for tonight is LaMond Pope, White Sox beat writer for the Chicago Tribune. He'll be joining us here in just a little bit. We're really excited to have him on the show. Of course, he's a member of the Baseball Writers Association of America. And, of course, he covers our White Sox for the Tribune. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Gonzo, back to just White Sox talk from the week in general. We dominated the Rangers, man. How do you feel about that series?
I feel absolutely great. Wasn't really sure how we were going to do versus them because they just seemed like they had that little pep in their step going into that series. Even though that they were in last place, they were having some really hard fought games previously in previous series and sweeping them. That just gives me more confidence about where this team is going. And really the greatest take so far, I think would go to Sunday for Kopech, and he had his high in pitches to this point, and with the dominance of that performance, he also had his highs in strikeouts that game. So that's just great signs for more to come.
Yeah, he 10 Ks in 5 innings, a ridiculous stat line. Kopech looks good. He looks strong, and he was a big shot in the arm for the bullpen. Zim, I couldn't even think of your name. I'm looking right at you. I was like, I almost called you Gim, which is like you're combining your two names. And that's probably not the greatest nickname in the world. So we're going to call you Zim. Zim. In addition to the Kopech domination, what did you think about this offense? It looks like they're starting to finally wake up and get things rolling. Yermin keeps on hitting the ball. Tim Anderson's on fire. Thoughts on this offense and how they keep on steamrolling, keep on chugging, keep that momentum going?
No, it's the team's finally hitting their stride. Well, we hope at least. It took a little while to get to this point, but we're kind of seeing what we all hoped that we were going to see at the beginning of the year. It took a few weeks for them to get rolling, but as everybody kept saying, just be patient, just wait, just get there. And I was unwilling to do so. And, now that we've seen it, it seems like just about everybody except for, a small handful of guys is really just hitting the cover off the ball. And it's inning after inning after inning, game after game after game, with, I guess there was a couple, down games in the middle between Rodon's no and today. But for the most part, that's the game where we started seeing this momentum build. And we were hoping so when we saw it. The very next day, we didn't see it come back. But as the weeks have gone on, it almost seems like maybe that was the little burst of energy that this team needed. To keep repeating myself, the confidence that this team needed to get rolling. It seems like maybe they got it there. They don't think that they're these young kids that are being overlooked anymore. They feel like they're the class of the American League. And they are. They should feel that way. So it's nice to see them embrace the role and start to embody it.
I'm with you, man. And one thing to keep in mind, too, is the White Sox, they didn't have any off days to start the year. They had, 7 or 9 games straight without an off day. Then they had an off day. They had some rainouts. I can't stress the importance of having those days off in there. I think for this team, this early in the season, getting those off days kind of helps them get everything back in order. They were able to shuffle things up a little bit, get some rest, some rested bats, some rested arms. And we saw Kopech fill in admirably for Lucas Giolito, who cut himself on a glass water bottle. Kopech stepped up big time, saved that pen from having to do a full pen game. Big time stuff from this team, and those days off helped with that. Gonzo, is there any merit to that time off helping out this team?
Well, I'm just glad it happened, early on in the season than later, especially with the injuries that we've had to start the season with, and when we're going to have Engel coming back soon, and we just got Timmy back that was last week, right? Timmy just got back
last week.
Yeah, it just seems like with Timmy coming back for our leadoff hitter, and Abreu really started I'll get back to Abreu, but he really started the offense this week with being that catalyst behind Moncada. So pitchers really have to face Moncada to get to Abreu, and then from Abreu to Robert or Mercedes. There's no easy holes in this lineup, especially when Nick Madrigal's at the end and hitting 300. It's going to be a tough lineup, and this was a perfect time to get all the cylinders going heading into May when, statistically, Abreu starts heating up by the month going into the season.
Yeah, Nicky Two Strikes seems to be, doing pretty well. I love that nickname. He makes great contact, and so is the rest of the team. I'm just happy to see these guys making contact. I think everybody had a really good week except for Zim's pick to click, which we'll talk a little bit about later. But how you feeling, Zim? Is he feeling good?
No, I mean, I'm just going to ignore that and build off of what Chris said there, with the lineup finally kind of falling into place.
Just totally slipped by.
Yeah, totally. Whatever you said right there, definitely. Anyway, so with that lineup, though, we were really concerned with with Eloy not being behind Abreu, and it seemed like Abreu was really concerned with it too, right? But with this emergence of Mercedes, 73, 74, they're not that different apparently. So he's really filled into that role. It's allowed Abreu to kind of get his feel back at the plate, not so worried about the guy behind him anymore, not feeling like he's got to be Superman for this team anymore. It's allowed him to be the MVP that he is. And then with Anderson coming back, again, it puts this lineup back where they should be. Instead of kind of La Russa having to find a new guy to fill the spot every day, they're in the role they feel most comfortable in. So they're succeeding because of that. Comfort's a big part of it.
No doubt about it, Zim. But we're going to go ahead and cut this part of the conversation short because we are joined by our very special guest who's in the house right now, and that's LaMond Pope. Yeah, he's the Chicago Tribune's White Sox reporter, a member of the Baseball Writers Association of America. LaMond, thank you so much for joining us tonight, man.
Hey, guys. Thanks for the invite.
Hey, we're happy to have you on, happy to be talking White Sox, and happy this fell on an off day so you could join us. It's great. So anyway, let's get talking into a little bit of White Sox, to get things rolling a little bit here. This team is firing on all cylinders right now after a sweep of the Texas Rangers. What is the vibe you're getting from this clubhouse, and how much better do you think that this team can get? Because they're kind of on a roll right now.
Yeah, everything's starting to roll in the right direction. You're getting to see a little bit of everything in all three phases, right? The hitting's starting to come together, the starting pitching, and there were some bumps early on with the bullpen, but the guys are able to come on through in some clutch situations the last couple of days as well. And so starting to see some things come together for all phases of the team. And that's the thing that, this is a team, obviously, we knew that they had big expectations entering the season. And so far, a little bit of a bumpy road to begin with the year, but this past week, with the games in Boston and then the games here against the Rangers, we're starting to see what the White Sox can be.
Yeah, and these bats are hot, and hopefully they stay that way. But, Yermin Mercedes is another player that's red hot. He's a big part of this team's success for the year so far. Do you think he can continue to be a dangerous bat in this lineup all season long?
What a story, right? I mean,
great story, unreal.
Yeah, here's someone. If Eloy doesn't get hurt, who knows if Yermin makes the team out of camp? He had a great camp last year, and he had another great camp this year. But it looked like it was going to be Zach was going to be that second catcher, and then with Eloy down, they needed another bat, another guy that can produce the long ball. And boy, first start. 5 for 5, and he just continued to hit and hit and hit. What I really love is his two-strike approach, right? Here's someone, you see it throughout the game. It doesn't matter what the count is. Guys are going to be swinging for the fences, but someone like Mercedes, he cuts on down, and his main thing is just make contact, put the ball in play, and good things have been happening. I mean, it's been unreal to watch. But the thing is, right, he's been able to hit all throughout his career down in the minor leagues. He finally gets that opportunity at the big leagues, and he's been, not only a good story for the White Sox, but one of the best stories in all of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, we everyone loves Yermin. He's got a nickname, the Yerminator. Yermin fever is all over the ballpark, so everyone's excited about that.
And now he's got a burger.
Yeah, he's got a burger. I know one of our other hosts was going to ask you this later, but have you had a chance to try it yet?
No, not yet. That's going to be on the menu for later on this year. Obviously, it's on my way to the ballpark, and so I'm definitely going to have to stop on by and get a Yerminator burger at some point.
Yeah. So digging a little deeper into your Baseball Writers Association of America, being a member there. You're a member with them. Tell us a little bit about that process, because I know I've always been interested about it. What's the process of becoming a member? How do you become eligible to vote for like Cy Young winners and for Hall of Fame inductees? Just talk a little bit about the process, because it's always been really interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate. This is my second full season covering the White Sox. Prior, I covered Notre Dame football and men's basketball for the Tribune. Helped on out with some high school stuff up in Lake County, Illinois. That was my hometown area, and so it was really a good response. Good opportunity to go back home and cover some high schools back there as well. But then in June of 2019, I became the White Sox writer for the Tribune. And then the next year, I got my first my BBWAA card, and with that, like you said, it came the opportunity to vote for one of the awards. My last year I voted for the Cy Young Award, and so that was I was kind of sweating which one was I going to get. You either get the American League Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Year, or MVP. And I got the one. I was like, well, Shane Bieber. That was a pretty easy one to mark on in as the winner for last year.
Sure.
But then as far as like in the Hall of Fame voting, that comes after your 10th consecutive season of doing it, and so I got a little whiles to go before I get into that sort of discussion. But it's always interesting. Just I've always baseball's always been my favorite sport. It's a sport I played poorly in high school. And then just having and it was always a sport that I always wanted to cover at the professional level. Growing up in Waukegan, Illinois, my parents got the Tribune, my grandparents got the Tribune, and so to have the opportunity to write and contribute to one of the papers, that I grew up reading, that was always the dream, was to come back here and have that opportunity. And I've been fortunate enough, to have this chance, and it's just been a total blast. Every single day you're at the ballpark, you're watching the White Sox, watching Major League Baseball day in and day out. It's really the dream job for me, and it's been just a great experience. And as far as just having that conversation, getting involved with those conversations with things like the Hall of Fame and things of that nature, I've always loved those kind of conversations. Does this person have the numbers? What about this person? What about that person? And so just to kind of be on that track to potentially have that opportunity to vote is definitely something I'm looking forward to somewhere down the line as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, in terms of covering this team, you mentioned it. With COVID restrictions, I'm just curious, are you traveling with the team right now? How's that all working with you during this crazy time in our country and in our world?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally a little bit different. That my first year in 2019, you get on down there, you get to go to the clubhouse, you get to talk to the guys before the game, get to talk to the manager, and then you come on up and do your pregame story. The last year, obviously, with the restrictions, everything is all through, like we're doing right now, all through Zoom. And so it was a different world for sure, kind of adjusted. What I like about having that, some people are like, well, do you really need that kind of that clubhouse access? That's the players, area. Should really be kind of restricted. What we do during that period of time, it's not only kind of building, whatever story I'm going to have for that particular day. It's having that conversation, that one-on-one time with a particular player. Sometimes you're not even asking questions for a particular story. You're just chatting, and what that does, that sort of builds that trust. They get to know you, you get to know them a little bit better, and then somewhere down the line, they'll know, hey, I can go to LaMond for this particular story, or I can trust him with this and that. And so that's how you kind of build those relationships, and that helps sort of foster, not only from on our end, but also on the players' end as well. They know, it's a little more difficult when you're doing it via Zoom, because it's like, everyone's just all on at the same time. You just ask your one question and then that's about it. Yeah. Whereas before, you have that opportunity to sort of like, hey, what's up, Tim? How's your day going? Things of that nature. Now it's like, ask your question and then it's on to the next person. So that's been a little bit of the challenge. But as far as this year, with things loosening up a little bit more, as far as just, obviously everyone starting to get vaccinated. I just got my second shot a little while ago, and so cool. we're starting to do some traveling. Yeah, I had the opportunity to go out to Boston for that series. That was my first ever time in Fenway Park. I've always wanted to go there, and so just to kind of have that experience. Getting there. The ballpark opens for us about 4 hours before the game begins, and I was there at 7 a.m. for that. For that early morning game, because I wanted to just walk around the ballpark. It's just me and like the grounds crew guys that are working, and so I went on up to the monster seats. Took a few photos from that area, just kind of soak in the history of that ballpark. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy, is just having that opportunity to go to these different ballparks and just sort of see, just kind of so-and-so played here or so-and-so played here, and just sort of, soak all that in. I really love that part of it. And yeah, we're doing a little more traveling this year. I'll be going out to Kansas City when they play the Royals, and obviously the Twins and Yankees series coming up in June as well. Looking forward to those trips. And so all the guys on the beat, they're starting to travel a little more as well. And so it's really good just to kind of get the game together on the road as well, as well as just seeing the guys at the cell.
Yeah, it's really, really exciting to kind of slowly get back to normal. I know we're all excited to get back to a game soon. I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to one of my co-hosts, Chris Gonzalez, to take it away with a few questions. Chris, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, LaMond, first of all, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to join us tonight. Now I'm going to begin off asking you a question about the team, and then I'm going to drift towards the player side of it. First off, from what you have seen so far, what's your season prediction to the White Sox?
Yeah, Chris. I mean, it really hasn't changed. I mean, I thought that this was the best team in the American League Central. And obviously, like I said, we were talking about a little earlier, a little bit of the slow start, but the talent is there, and the talent is there not only to win, but to win big. I really like the way that the offense is, even with Eloy out of the mix. You're starting to see, as we talked a little bit with Mercedes. He's been able to kind of plug on in. You're seeing more out of Vaughn recently. You're seeing Nick Madrigal come up with some big hits. I mean, what the job that Luis has done, right? Not only he's shown that growth, he's taken the ball the other way. That was one thing that we had the chance to talk to the hitting coach Frank Manicino, I think about a week ago, and he said that one thing that Robert has been able to do, he's going the other way with pitches, and that's been a big difference. He's using the entire field, and we're seeing the product. I mean, obviously there's a ton of hype with Robert, and we're starting to see all those tools kind of coming into fruition with him, and so that's been exciting as well. And obviously, Tim's gonna hit. Tim's gonna do lead off. He's gonna get on. He's gonna score some runs. Moncada, he's been hitting the ball harder over the last few games. I think that switch with adding Johan now in the third spot and Abreu in the cleanup spot. I mean, it's worked wonders for both of them. I mean, they've both been able to kind of get on track a little bit more. And so from that offensive standpoint, you're starting to see, all the signs that, what we knew that this team could be, starting to put it together on that offensive side. And then the starting pitching. I mean, anytime you have a rotation that has three guys that were, received Cy Young votes last year, and Lance and Lucas and Dallas, that's going to be. You can't go wrong when you have three guys that have received votes from that, right?
Yeah.
and then you add in, the job that Rodon has done. I mean, that's we saw him during spring training. He had a fantastic spring. I remember Dallas saying at one point, "This is the Carlos that the White Sox drafted." I mean, that's what the guys were seeing from him out of spring training, and then for him to be able to kind of take that to another level so far during the regular season has been something else to watch. I mean, the fact that he said that he's healthy, and obviously that's been the big thing with him, and he's motivated. He was motivated by wanting to show everyone that he could stay healthy, and he's been motivated. He was motivated by being non-tendered. He said that might have not been from the Sox standpoint, as far as something that motivated him, but for him personally, he wanted to prove, all right, I can do this. I can have some success at the big league. I can have some sustained success here at the big league level. And he's just been phenomenal. Obviously, the no-hitter, but the start after that against the Indians, I thought was equally impressive. Right?
Sure.
He kind of gutted on through those 5 innings and put the team in a position to win. And so that was very, very impressive. Dylan, he has all the tools to be a top-notch type pitcher. He's just got to put it all together, and it's just having that consistency, finding that fastball command. I mean, that's the big thing with Dylan Cease. But then, obviously Michael Kopech. Whatever role that they've had him in so far, he's just been phenomenal. And obviously, making that transition from starter to the bullpen. He was lights out from that standpoint, and then having the opportunity these last 2 times to get back into that starting spot and show everybody, this is the Michael Kopech that people, are projecting is going to be in the future. We're getting a little bit of a taste of that right now, so that's been a whole lot of fun to watch. And so, I to answer your question, I think that that the talent is there to win the Central and to kind of to make some noise in the playoffs, and I still believe that's going to be the case.
Okay. Yeah, I personally, going into the season, I had them with the talent like you're talking about. I can see them representing us or the AL in the World Series, but for my prediction, I just think for some gut reason they're just gonna lose it in the ALCS. But that's what I see at the moment. But
Hope you're wrong, buddy.
I hope so too. But my next question for you is, with the dominance of Rodon and Kopech, like what you just have talked about, do you think Kopech stays in the bullpen this season? And also, to go with that, do you think that Cease and Rodon will be our 4 or 5 by the end of the season? How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we keep asking Tony. It's like, and it's a good problem to have, right?
Sure.
To be in a situation where you can, it's like, well, I mean, Michael's pitching well enough to be a guy that deserves to be in that starting rotation, to get that ball every fifth day. But they're being very cautious with him, and that's the right move as well. You don't want to put, here's someone who had the Tommy John surgery, missed all 2019, recovering from that, and then obviously opted out in 2020. And so he's really getting that first full-time, first full season experience, major league experience with this year. And so they're gonna be patient with him. They're gonna be cautious with him. They're gonna kind of slow. Want to make sure that the big thing with Michael is that you want to make sure that he's there and he's able to contribute to the team in September and in October. And so it's a situation where, right now, they're more than likely going to still use him out of the bullpen. And if a situation arises where they need a spot start, he's going to be the first guy that they're going to go to, because they know that he can get the ball. And the big thing about yesterday's start was that he gave the team length, right? Obviously, it's a situation where their bullpen was kind of taxed. They used Bummer for two straight days. They used Hoyer for 2 straight days. They used Liam for 2 straight days as well. They had him pitch a little bit of the 8th and the 9th on Friday, and then come out back on Saturday as well. And so those guys, they were not available for Sunday's game. And so the fact that the original plan was to maybe try to get 4 out of Michael, and then use Jonathan Stieber for a couple innings and try to stretch him out for a couple innings there, and then have Garrett do a couple innings as well. So they knew that they were sort of limited from that standpoint, and the fact that he was able to get them 5 is a plus. That they're like, all right, hey, he might be ready to take that next step or get that ball where he can go 5 if we need him in that sort of type of situation. But I think the plan right now is to kind of use him as that 2 or 3 inning sort of reliever, to kind of guy towards the end of the ball game that you can come on in and depend on right now. When we get to the end of the season, that's another question. I mean, what's going to give them? I think La Russa and the coaching staff are going to take a look and say, what puts the Sox in the best position to win today? Is it going to be having Michael available for that 6th and 7th inning, if it gets to a playoff type of situation, or is it going to be a thing where they need him for a number 4 starter in the playoff or something of that nature? And so that's going to be interesting to see once we get to that sort of type of situation. But it's a good, like I said, it's a really good situation to have when you have that opportunity, especially if Carlos continues to pitch like he's pitching, and if Dylan can kind of get on track. I'm really interested just to see what Dylan can do on Thursday when he faces the Tigers, just to kind of see what adjustments he makes after this most recent start. But if Carlos can continue to be the Carlos that they've seen so far, I mean, the sky's the limit. It gives them a variety of options to go with many different ways to use Michael as well.
Yeah, no, you had a lot of good, valid points there. That's something that's going to be a part of our main segment later in the show that we will definitely take a deep depth approach with. But my next question for you is, with Engel coming back soon, how do you think the roster will be managed to make room for him?
Yeah, I mean, that's another great question. I mean, I think we're getting a little bit of a preview right now. I mean, I wonder, I mean, they like what Billy Hamilton brings as far as that 8th inning substitution. Obviously, he provides a different weapon to the team with his legs, right? They can call
baby.
him, yeah, and they love that aspect. Excuse me, they love that aspect that he brings to the ballpark and brings to the ball club. So I think that he's going to, still be involved in some way, sort of like, again, that substitute guy. But the thing with Engel, that's going to be really interesting just to see, because, again, with the way that Mercedes is hit, I think that was something that the team really, they weren't planning to be able to have that locked on in with so far with Yermin as that designated hitter, right? The plan, I think, initially was, all right, they're going to use Mercedes a little bit. They're going to use Vaughn. They're going to use Lamb. And Lamb's only played a couple games so far, and so he's sort of been the guy that's been lost in the mix from that standpoint. So when you add Adam back into that mix, that shores up your defense, and left field's going to be a little bit better. Even though to tell you the truth, Andrews played a pretty solid defensive left field. I mean, for someone who has very limited experience out there, I mean, he has looked like someone. He's looked like a normal left fielder, right? So that's been very, very impressive to see. So it'd be really interesting to see. Maybe it's that role that Adam was originally going to have. He was going to be that guy that was sort of going to be that super sub, as far as I can, as far as I was concerned when Eloy was in the mix. Obviously it was going to originally be Eloy, Robert, and Eaton, and so maybe that's going to be a little bit again, and that'll be something that's another good problem to have, right? Is when Engel does return, what exactly will be the way they're going to be able to fit on in? But it's going to give it's going to give the team another boost from that standpoint. They know that they have another solid guy that can play all three outfield positions, and the way that he was hitting, particularly against left-handed pitching, that's going to be another boost and another weapon there for the offense as well.
No doubt about it.
Well, thanks, LaMond, for answering my questions. I'm gonna pass along to Zim, or on this side. Or shit, this side. Or shit, I keep fucking up over here on that side. Shit, screw it.
Zim, take it away, buddy. Gonzo can't see. Take it away.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. Yeah. Wow. Now I'm all tongue-tied. All right. So that's a real smooth transition there. So we appreciate you coming on, LaMond. I'm just going to, before we move on to the last third of this interview, I just want to remind our dozen of listeners out there that we do field chat questions for this last little bit. So if anybody has a great question that you're just dying to get thrown out there for Mr. LaMond Pope here, go ahead, throw it in our chat, and we'll sneak it in at the end here. But we'll just move on for now while they're filling those out. So another guest that we had on earlier this year, Chuck Garfine from NBC Chicago, he mentioned that the Royals were his sleeper team for the year, right? And so far, he has been absolutely dead on. What do you think about that? Like, do you think they're kind of legit competition for this season alongside the Tribe, or is this 14-7 record nothing more than just a hot start? Even though, Mondesi's not active yet, is that all it is, or is this team just going to get better and be real competition and a real pain in the,
Yeah, no, man, I've been impressed with the Royals for sure. I mean, they're one of those teams that were actually active in the offseason, right? There weren't a ton of teams that made a lot of moves during the offseason. They added Santana, they added Taylor, they got a couple pitchers as well, and so they were one of those teams that was like, they were serious about making some improvements, and so far it's panned off. I mean, I like the way I watched a little bit of the game today against the Tigers, and obviously having the chance to see them a little earlier during the season when they played here. At Guaranteed Rate Field, and so so far they've been very impressive. But I still do think that it's going to be the Twins. It's going to be the Twins have a ton of talent still. I think they're going to get going at some point. I still really do love Cleveland's pitching. You can never go wrong with a staff that's headlined by Bieber. But I mean, I do think the Royals are a much improved team, and you're seeing what they've been able to produce so far. And so, Chuck, that was a great prediction by Chuck, and so far, they're proving them to be correct.
Yeah. Well, and I know a lot of people are saying, the Royals haven't really played anybody so far, but isn't that what you're supposed to do? You play above 500 against average competition. And so far they're proving, I don't know. Yeah. It's going to be fun to watch for sure. I never remember the Twins for whatever reason, mostly because I don't know. They always seem to die off to me.
Joe Mauer still haunts my dreams, Zim.
That's fair. But no, continuing on these hot starts, kind of bringing this whole thing full circle a little bit with the Yermin Mercedes conversation. Do you think he's going to keep this up, or like we saw with Luis Robert last year, he kind of dipped down once he started going through the more dog days of the season? Do you think we're going to see that? I mean, obviously he's probably not going to hit 400 all year, but is he our rookie of the year?
I like the prediction. I'll agree with you that I don't think he's going to get. I think Ted Williams is safe as far as the 400 is concerned. But yeah, I mean, the thing that he's been able to, like we were talking about a little earlier, everywhere that he's hit, everywhere that he's played, he's been able to hit. I mean, that's sort of been his track record. But it's a really great point. Obviously the pitchers are going to start making adjustments to him, and then it's going to be up to him to make those adjustments after that. And so that's going to be the thing to see. Obviously with Luis last year, he got off to such a sizzling start, but then September, he got into that swoon and it started affecting him. And now you're just starting to see. Again, he got kind of off to a little bit of a slow start at the beginning of this year, but he made those adjustments, and now we're starting to see once again the Luis Robert that everyone sort of projected. So the thing with Yermin, again, you can expect the pitchers to kind of make some adjustments to him, and we've asked him, it's like, how are the pitchers? Are they pitching you any differently? And he said, well, yeah, they are, but I'm staying with the same approach. Saying what just remaining focused, just try to put the ball in play, and things worked on out. And so if your mindset is put the ball in play, let things work on out, good things will happen. Not try to do too much, and that's what we're seeing so far from Yermin is that he's staying within himself, and good things have really been happening. So can he keep it going? Why not?
I'll take it. I had a follow up, and it slipped my mind. I got absorbed in what you were saying, but I do want to ask you one last one before I toss it back to Joe for our chat question and our wrap up here. What is one of your favorite moments that you've covered with this team, or some of your favorite moments? Just what's something that really stands out in your mind in your time with this team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, let's start with the two no-hitters. I mean, both being in the ballpark last year for Lucas Giolito's no-hitter was a because part of the thing with Lucas's was his outing before that, he pitched against the Tigers and he mowed them down for the first time through the order. And I was thinking during that game, I was like, he's got no hit stuff. I mean, like he was just sort of overpowering in that game. Obviously, the Tigers were able to get a hit eventually, but then that next start against the Pirates, it was the same thing. He was just locked in. It looked like from the get-go, 13 strikeouts, 1 walk. And just a phenomenal night. I really wish the fans, the ballpark that I've been, even like it was this year with Carlos, with fans in the stands, because it did. Again, that was another great moment. Just having that opportunity to be in the ballpark for that one as well. But with Lucas's one, I was fortunate enough. Someone from the Baseball Hall of Fame reached out to me and they're like, "Hey, can we get your scorecard?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I said it I said it the next day just to make sure that they didn't turn around and say, "No, we don't need it after all." And so to have a little bit of piece of something to contribute, just a scorecard to the Baseball Hall of Fame was just an incredible thrill. And actually, over my shoulder here is the plaque that they gave me as far as or the certificate that they gave me as far as for that achievement. And so that was really cool. But then the other thing was just having the opportunity to be in Oakland for the playoff series, even though it didn't go the Sox way, just being there in the ballpark, seeing the guys get that experience, and even in September when they beat the Twins to wrap up the playoff spot, that was a really neat moment to be in the ballpark for that. But then also, again, just that whole series in Oakland, having that opportunity just to sort of see the guys grow and have that opportunity there in Game 3. They're ahead, and then things sort of fell apart. But just to see the guys fight and have that opportunity in the postseason, that was a neat experience for me. Just to have the opportunity to cover and see the Sox in the postseason sort of situation.
No, absolutely. Those both sound. Me personally, having an item in the Baseball Hall of Fame has got to be just surreal.
You grow up. As we were talking earlier, man. Just following the game, just loving the game, playing the game. You play the game with your friends. You get a group of friends together and you go on out to the high school or grade school and you just play a little game together. And you never imagine, and then you go to games and you keep score while the games are happening. I kept score when I was a kid, and you never imagine that, just that this activity that you did as a kid is one day going to, lead to something that you did again is in the Hall of Fame. And so, that was, just a thrill when they contacted me. I couldn't believe it. And then when it all came on through, it was unreal. And so, that was definitely a personal highlight from that standpoint for sure.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time with me. I'm going to toss it back to Joe to wrap it up, but thank you so much.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And LaMond, before we let you out, we do have a couple questions from the chat room. So I'm going to go ahead and take a couple of chat questions here. We have one here from Santiago. We have one from Santiago. He wants to know, does LaMond think Tony La Russa got off to a slow start and is now managing better?
Well, I want to open up this up to you guys as well. What did you guys think of the when was it? I guess Saturday night, the bunt situation. That was a talk of Twitter for a little bit, right? What did you guys think about that?
We were just talking about it before the show. We were just we have a segment on the show called the Adam Dud of the Week, and you could probably figure out what has won that for this week. So we don't think too highly of that bunt. It was brutal.
Well, but it's one of these things. Obviously, some people are. I wrote that today. I was like, some fans are in the never bunt situation, and then some fans are like, well, get him over, get him in, and it worked on out. And it's like, I get both arguments, because you don't want to take, obviously you're taking the bat out of Grandal's hand, and then they walk Mercedes, but who knows how that inning plays out if Yasmani hits and goes up play, then there are tons of different scenarios, and like
sure.
So, but to answer the question, you're starting to see a little bit more of why the Sox hired Tony La Russa. I mean, it's a situation where he obviously has a ton of experience from the Hall of Famer, so a ton of experience, obviously. But as far as just dealing with the bullpen, let's take that aspect of it. He sort of revolutionized how that went when he was with Oakland and St. Louis, just sort of using Dennis Eckersley with the A's, and having the arms that the Sox have, as we talked about earlier with Liam and Cody. Evan and Aaron and on and on and on. So we're starting to see just how he's going to utilize those guys, and he's playing every single game. And every you can say, well, every manager does this, but it does seem like every single move is like, this game is the most important game. Right. It's almost like managing in September right now, and so that's been really fun to watch and kind of think on through. And like we're just having that conversation with the bunt. It's like everything. It makes watching the game that much more fun, because you have the opportunity to be like, well, should he do this? Would you do this? Would I do this? But to kind of answer the question, I do like the fact that every single move is done with the purpose of how can this team win today. They'll worry about tomorrow's starting pitcher tomorrow. There's a situation with when they were trying to figure out, who's going to start the second game in Boston, things of that nature. It's like, their main purpose was, let's go ahead and try to win today's game today, and then kind of deal with tomorrow's tomorrow. Some managers might not have pitched Liam Hendricks in both ends of that doubleheader,
sure.
but they're in a situation like, they needed, Liam's available. He wants to throw. We're gonna, Tony's like, we're gonna go out and use him. And again, with both, it didn't work out on Saturday. But after, in a situation where Liam, gets through the eighth inning on Friday, comes back on out and finishes them off in the ninth inning, and then Saturday, usually it's like, nope, there's no chance that you're going to use your closer in that sort of situation. Nope, 1-0 game. Liam says he's good. We're going to use them. And so I like that aggressiveness, and I think that's going to be beneficial for the team, because what it does as well as with the players, it's like, it tells them, what, I believe in you, and we have this opportunity to win. We're going to go for it. And so that's what I think we're seeing most of with Tony, is that let's win today. Let's win today's game now. If we're in position to win today's game, let's go ahead and do it. And then they're going to worry about tomorrow's game after the game. And I think that's been a big plus so far for the ball club.
Yeah, it's a really refreshing point of view, especially after, what we've had with Ricky. No, not to poo-poo on Ricky, but, it's just kind of refreshing to see. We got another question here from Brandon Stacy. If Rodon keeps throwing this good throughout the season, will the Sox be able to afford to resign him next year? And then at the tail end of that, he says, and Lance Lynn as well. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, and I think this also plays into the situation of obviously, they're going to want to use the long-term plan for Michael Kopech is to be in the starting rotation. The long-term plan for Garrett Crochet is to be in the starting rotation. You have someone like a Jimmy Lambert, who's going to be available. You have obviously Jonathan Stevers. So you do have options that are going to kind of be the next step. And then obviously, when you get into the free agency as well, you see, I don't know what the market's going to. I haven't had a chance to take a look at what the market's going to look like so far. But I'm sure there might be. I'm sure there's going to be some pitchers available. Through that market as well. And so if Carlos keeps on pitching the way that he does, and obviously Lance, he's going to be. He's been just so dependable and so reliable throughout these last few years. So what you're getting with Lance Lynn. That's going to be really interesting to see what kind of decisions this team makes, because again, I believe it's going to be a situation where Michael's going to get one of those spots next year. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Garrett. Do they continue to sort of stretch him on out, and is he going to be a guy that you can say, all right, now next year is going to be his opportunity, or is going to be another year, kind of as in that long bullpen type of situation. So, and then again, the attitude or the approach when you have someone like a Tony La Russa, you don't hire Tony La Russa unless you believe that you can win right now. And so when you get into a situation next season or during this off season, you want to put the team in the best position to win, and that is going to be having another veteran arm as they do right now with Lance. And so that's something they're going to have to kind of take into consideration when they get into free agency this offseason. It's like, hey, the importance of having someone that that you can depend on for game 3. Obviously we saw what happened last year. They didn't have that guy that they knew that they can go with game 3. They started Dane. He got a couple outs, got a couple guys on, and then he was out after 4 batters, and then it became a bullpen game. They want to have that stable guy that they can depend on for game 3. And so that's something that they're going to have to take into account when it gets to this offseason, as far as, how much money they want to spend on another starter, or if they believe, hey, Michael's going to be ready for that 3rd spot, and we can kind of fill in there. They're going to need another starter. You always want to have, you can never have enough starting pitching. Right. And so it just sort of depends on what kind of direction they want to go with. And obviously Lance has been phenomenal so far. And Carlos, he's helped himself on out so far from that standpoint, as far as, so far he's going to put his name in, and he's going to make a lot more money throughout this offseason as well.
For sure. And we got one more question from the chat from Lauro Golden. Has LaMond been surprised with how well Andrew Vaughn has looked in the infield/outfield?
Yeah, I mean, again, here's someone who, he was called once Eli went down. They're like, you're going to get that opportunity in left field. But he had a chance during last summer at the alternative site. He took some, he played a little bit out in the outfield, had that opportunity to kind of get a little bit of a taste of it. But you just never really know until you're actually playing in a big league game. Obviously, you add another deck. They always say, you're adding another deck in that ballpark, and you never know what those nerves are going to be like, and what the eyesight and everything else. Trying to field the ball from that standpoint. I think he's been very solid. He does not look like a brand new left fielder, and that is the best type of compliment. He looks like someone who has played left field for a few years, and he's been really solid out there, and he hasn't skipped a beat. I mean, and that was one thing that Tony said as well. He said it wasn't a situation early on when he wasn't getting as much playing time at the start of the season. He said it had nothing really to do with his glove. He said he's played a solid left field. It was just sort of playing the matchups and things of that nature. I'm glad from that standpoint, Andrew's got the opportunity to be in the lineup more, and we're able to see this is the Andrew Vaughn that he's been connecting, he's been hitting really well lately. And like I said, the defense has been I would say a pleasant surprise for the team as well.
Yeah, it's great that we were able to get a little help there, so that's a good thing. And LaMond, before we let you go, we always like to ask our guests if it would be possible if you could do a quick station ID for us. Our director Aldo actually was able to put it at the bottom of the screen right there for you to read off, just basically saying LaMond the Pope. I'm LaMond Pope, White Sox beat writer for the Chicago Tribune, and you're watching South Burbs Hitmen. If you could do that, that would be absolutely amazing. I can go ahead and count you in. And we can give it a try here. So whenever you're ready, let me know, and I'll count you in.
All set.
All right, here we go. We're going to go 3, 2, 1.
I'm LaMond Pope, the White Sox beat writer for the Chicago Tribune, and you're watching South Burbs Hitmen.
Look at that. One take, LaMond. Absolutely amazing. LaMond, before you get out of here, why don't you tell people where they could find you on social media, and then talk a little bit about any new articles you might have coming out tomorrow or later this week.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can be found at LaMond Pope on Twitter. If you just go to the Chicago Tribune website as well, the sports section, just look for the White Sox. Almost every Sox article, that's going to be me. We try to get at least a couple per day. This week, starting tomorrow's paper, we'll just have our takeaways from the Rangers series. A little bit on Michael Kopech. A little bit on Dylan Cease, and we talked a little bit about the bunting situation as well, and so things of that nature. But then we'll, this week, looking ahead, I'll be at the ballpark for the Tiger series and for the Indian series, and so yeah, just continue coverage for all the games of this upcoming week at the Chicago Tribune website as well.
Awesome. Well, LaMond, thank you so much for joining us on South Burbs Hitmen. Maybe at some point this year we'll run into you at the ballpark, but good luck in covering this next homestand, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Hey, guys, this was a lot of fun. Thank you very much for the invite. I really had a good time.
Awesome. Thank you, LaMond. Appreciate it. We'll have you on sometime in the near future again. And again, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
See you guys later.
Thanks,
LaMond. All right, see you. Thank you. All right, guys, that was LaMond Pope from the Chicago Tribune covering the White Sox, the National Baseball Writers Association of America member, and all-around amazing guest. Huge shout-out to LaMond for joining us. Guys, wasn't LaMond awesome?
Man, he was just filled with just so much information, and there's a lot of things I would love to just add on that he was talking about, but it would just go way beyond the time that we have him for. So just a great guest to have.
Absolutely. And before we move on to the next segment of the show, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. So we will be right back. All right, guys, welcome back to South Burbs Hitmen. For those of you who didn't catch the commercial break, there's a very special edition of Draft on Tap coming up immediately after the end of our show, roughly 9:15, 9:30. Depends on when we get out of here. So we're going to keep things chugging along, keeping this show moving, guys. And we're going to start things off getting into our next segment here, a segment that we like to call La Russa's Locker. So let's get it. All right, this is La Russa's Locker, and before we get started in it, I know our buddy Zim over here has something he wanted to say, so I'm going to toss it to that handsome guy over there. Zim, what's up?
Yeah, well, for those of you who are new, who haven't heard this before, La Russa's Locker is our time to talk about great decisions that La Russa's made as the manager of this team, or head scratchers that he's made over the course of the past week. But just to start this segment off, I just wanted to bring up a point that LaMond brought up towards the end of that interview. And it's that Tony is managing this team to win today. Nothing else. He's not looking at what happened yesterday. He doesn't care about tomorrow's game. He's looking to win today's game. And so he's making some really critical decisions in key moments that's going to prepare this team and could end up paying off as they get late in the season. You know, these season-defining situations that a young team might not be ready for, Tony's actually getting them ready for them now with these odd bunts, with these defensive substitutions, with these somewhat questionable things that you're not used to seeing this early in the year. And now this team is going to know how to prepare for that come crunch time. They're going to know how to handle the pressure when it comes time for that moment. And I really think that by not playing it safe, quote unquote, you know, that could really define this team as they end up making, if they end up making a late October run. You know, it should be as they are, but if they are. But I think a good example of that is our first main talking point here for La Russa's Locker today, which is Michael Kopech coming in for the spot start on Sunday, right? Yeah. He didn't really have any time to prep for it. He was just kind of thrown into the fire, and he threw 87 pitches, 5 innings, and recorded a stat line that nobody else in the majors has recorded so far this year, which is 10 strikeouts in 5 innings. Like, how insane is that? Gonzo, I mean, I know you've had some really interesting thoughts in our text chain about it. Go ahead and share with everybody else what you've been telling us.
I mean, it might have been a high pitch count for 5 innings with all the strikeouts that he had in that performance. But it is the right move to, you know, make that next progression to get him to when we will need him as a starter, and just to test out, you know, getting him there. Like I said earlier in the season, it was great having him in the bullpen because it gives him the opportunity to work out of the stretch, then the windup that he's used to. And we've seen it before the virus, how his control was back then when he was out of the stretch. And you can just tell he's just with that confidence and that comfortability on the mound with his mantra that the ball is moving the same as he's in the windup, but even better in the stretch. And it's the right move in general because we needed those 5 innings of him, and it just saved our bullpen because even when they brought Stever in, he got banged up. But I'll get to that in a little bit. But it was just, you know, exactly what we need from him at the right moment to end the series versus the Rangers to go for the sweep.
Yeah, now speaking of Michael Kopech and Tony La Russa, there's actually a clip that I pulled from courtesy of our friends over at NBC Sports Chicago. A little bit of Tony talking about Kopech stepping in, and a little bit about Kopech talking about filling out on his start. So let's take a quick listen and check out this clip.
He knew, and so did the relievers, that we were shorthanded. So to step up and get us 5 innings, you know, that's a pressure performance over and above.
He got him on the inside corner. Wow.
Starting to lose it, he's allowed 2 people to hit it.
10 strikes.
Yeah, I just tried to go out there and treat it like another day and just take it hitter to hitter.
We were never going to do anything dangerous. You know, if he'd have struggled, after 2 or 3 he was out of there, but he was rolling. And to be able to get that 5th inning was huge for us.
It means a lot, you know, because that's how I still consider myself as a starting pitcher. And so to be able to kind of not get that opportunity for a while and then to take advantage of that opportunity and actually be able to, you know, get a little bit deeper than the plan was, I think that's good for me and for the team.
Yeah, so obviously Kopech stepped up big time. So great call from Tony there, guys. But you know, let's move into our next topic of La Russa's Locker. The bullpen management was a little spotty this week, Gonzo. I know you were just alluding to that, but why don't you talk a little bit about this bullpen management here, and then we'll quickly move on to our next item here.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, when you're just talking about the bullpen and relievers, you have to understand that with reliever dominance, there's usually a regression to the mean from year to year. So you really have to figure out which relievers are regressing and which ones are going above the regression. And it really is year to year. And Tony La Russa is still mixing and matching to the roles of the bullpen within the first month of the season to know what he's going to have throughout the rest of the season. And if they have to make deals at the deadline to get relievers or starting pitchers, or if they have to get back to their squad and Schaumburg or the minors, like he's going to have it figured out of the arms that he's going to have. And, Marshall is another guy that really needs to find it, or he may lose his spot by June. And I know I brought up Stever on last week's episode. And like I did say that he got banged up, but out of the arsenal that I saw from him, I really liked what I saw. It does look promising, and I really hope to see more of him. And I really think that he got banged up is just because he came right after Kopech and that strong performance. And sometimes that's all the batters need, is to be woken up with a new pitcher. And I just think Stever was the victim at fault for seeing a different arm angle and getting banged up on in that start. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I really have faith in not only Stever but the bullpen and the pitching staff.
Yep, Joe, you got yourself a little muted there. I'm guessing we're moving on to the next part of this question now.
You guessed it. This is the first time I muted myself during the entire course of the show existence, and I forgot to take myself off. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and toss this one back to you, Zim. The next item on this list is the move to put Vaughn in at first base during the Cleveland series. He made some clutch stretch outs that I don't think Yermin Mercedes could have made. I think that's a clutch move by Tony. What are your thoughts on that one?
No, that's a great point. It's exactly the question that slipped my mind when I was actually talking to LaMond, and I got caught up on what he was saying, but I was going to ask him specifically about Yermin in the field, because he's not as good of a defender, as strong of a defender as any of the other guys at any of the other positions that he plays, except maybe pitcher. But that's just a whole other thing. He just, Vaughn coming in really increased the defense, and it turned out to be really critical. So I think it was absolutely the right move, because you're running into a guy that, like I said, you see Yermin, he's not, how do I put this kindly? He doesn't have the build of a prototypical athlete. Okay.
Right.
So, it's just, then again, neither did Prince Fielder, and he was an absolute athlete. So maybe Yermin has more than we've seen so far, but at that point in time, it was absolutely the right move. Vaughn is younger, more flexible, able to make these plays. Yermin is a 28-year-old catcher. As a 28-year-old myself who played catcher, I can tell you, moving to first base, you don't stretch the same way anymore.
That's probably a safe call, especially with Yermin. He's more of a DH at this point in his career, and he's doing a good job of it. But, gentlemen, our last item in LaRusse's locker, let's talk a little bit about the substitution of Billy Hamilton, subbing him in for Andrew Vaughn. Key out at the plate in the Texas series. He threw him out at home with killer arm. Gonzo, what'd you think about that? I know you were pretty fired up about it the other day.
Well, first off, to add what Zim was saying there, Vaughn had a key stretch when he substituted for Mercedes in that game, and that in the end could have been a difference of runs saved there. So
Sure.
good job, Zim, on that little breakdown. But to go on what Joe just asked, Vaughn got substituted for Billy later in the game, and Billy ended up having to keep put out at the plate during a 1-0 game, and that could have been the difference of 1-1 and possibly a 2-1 roll game at the end with that home run that they had in the ninth off of Hendricks. So very key substitution that in the end, it really kept us in the game, because it was a 1-1 game in the ninth, so they kept us in the game to win it going into extra innings.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Clutch stuff. Tony had a pretty darn good week for the most part. So not a whole lot of complaints. So we love to see that. But let's move on to our next segment, where we do a lot more complaining. It's a segment we like to call the Adam Dud of the Week.
You suck.
You suck.
Stupid, lousy, no excuse.
What a dud. What a total dud.
Stupid, lousy, no excuse. That's right, Tony. Thank you for that audio. And who are our nominees for the Adam Dud of the Week? Well, here's a short list, guys. Giolito for cutting his finger on a glass water bottle, which is one of the stranger injuries I've seen in a while. The Garcia bunt, which LaMond was talking about, might be one of the worst bunts I have ever seen. And last but not least, Marshall out of the pen. He's had a couple issues. He's nominee as well. And last but not least, I forgot one guy, Liam Hendricks. While he has not blown a save yet, I don't believe. Well, I think he actually has. I lied.
I believe he has one.
He blew one save, but while he has not been overly terrible, his home run rate is alarming. So, gentlemen, who is your Adam Dud of the week? Gonzo, I'll lead off with you.
Yeah, I got 2 duds this week, actually, and it's Lurie Garcia for that bunt and just his overall performance during the week, or I should say the lack of the bunt that he put down, and then Evan Marshall for another bad performance. Going for consecutive weeks, actually. So, yeah, we're going to need a lot better from those guys if they're going to be on the roster.
Zim, how about you, bud?
Yeah, it's a real bummer that Aaron Bummer had nothing to do with it. I'm sorry. It's a real disappointment that Larry Garcia did such a poor job. And just real quick, I'm going to give a super quick visual here. If your bat is here and the ball is here and you're trying to bunt it, pull the bat back. Okay. It's just physics that for those of you listening on the podcast, I'm sorry, you don't see the visual very much. What you're seeing is a ball above a bat. Okay. If you have to bring your bat up to the ball, guess where the ball is going to go? I'm pretty sure anybody who's taken an 11th grade science class can tell you that. So I'm sorry. It was a horrible play. And on top of it, it's the second time he did it in the course of a week. So for those of you who didn't catch it, he popped out on a foul ball bunt to Rafael Devers against the Boston Red Sox as well. So yeah. Larry needs to go back to Little League for a day or two and learn how to bunt. Bring the bat back, not up.
Yeah, he needs to go to bunting school, that's for sure. I'm going to go with Evan Marshall as well because he's just been flat out terrible. He needs to really turn things around because his spot could be gone like this if he doesn't straighten things out. I know he can. He's got the talent to do it. So I'm in his corner rooting for him. But he is my Adam Dud of the week. And now, gentlemen, let's move on. Let's keep the show chugging along. A reminder to everyone, tune in to Draft on Tap directly after this show ends. It's going to be a lot of fun getting you ready for the draft on Thursday night for the Bears and the NFL in general. Let's talk in our next segment about the players that really lit it up. They had the scoreboard popping in a segment that we always call Put It on the Board.
Ball hit deep. Way back. He looks up. You can put it on the board. Yes!
So this might be the easiest week ever to pick our Put It on the Board player of the week because this specific player has been on an absolute tear across all stat lines. He's just been a wizard. The nowhere near him player of the week has got to be Tim Anderson with a stat line of 8 for 22 with 6 runs scored, 1 home run, 2 RBI, and 2 stolen bases. That's an average of 364 for the week. Timmy's just raking, guys. Zim, is he going to slow down anytime soon?
No. Short and simple, no. Timmy gets hot and Timmy stays hot. He'll cool off around the All-Star break probably.
I like it. Gonzo.
I mean, yeah, he's our put on the board player of the week and my pick to click of the week. So that's a nice W for me.
That's a wonderful segue. Thank you.
But for honorable mentions, I will say there's 3 guys that should get honorable mentions for the week that are, below TA for his performance. But with Abreu batting cleanup during the week, he really got the week going in the Cleveland series. And Kopech's dominance on Sunday and throughout the week as well. And I'm also going to mention Liam Hendricks, the South Slider, even though that he did have a blown save, but he got the W from that game from keeping it to the performance that he had. But he also had that 5-out save the game following that, or previous to that. So he came in clutch situation and got 2 dubs for us this weekend.
Big time clutch. I liked what I saw out of him as well. Hendricks and Abreu started to heat up as well. Moncada as well as an honorable mention for me. Yeah. I like what I saw out of Moncada this week. I think his bat's really going to heat up. We'll talk about our picks to click for the week coming up, but let's talk about the results.
We're good. We already established that Gonzo won.
Let's talk about the results because I have bad results as well. For those of you who don't know, we are going into our, what is this, the 4th week, right, of the season? And I am currently sitting at 0 for 4. My pick to click for last week was Nick Madrigal. And while he had a good week, it simply was not good enough. Zim, who did you pick again? I can't remember.
We just talked about him. He's sorry, I almost just said a not all ages appropriate word on this all age approved podcast. He was freaking bad last week.
Yeah, and of course, if you couldn't tell, he's talking about Larry Garcia.
I'm not even saying his name. I'm sorry. I'm that fed up. I went with a gut pick, and it was probably really dumb of me. So I could go into Adam Dutt of the week if you want.
There you go. It goes on Zim. But the stats for Madrigal, who I picked, he was 4 for 15 with 2 runs scored and 3 RBI, hitting .267. And our buddy Zim, who picked Larry Garcia, he went 2 for 10 with 2 runs scored. Yes, that was the previous scoreboard. Now you can put me at 0 and 4. Zim falls to 2 and 2, and Gonzo crawls back to 500 at 2 and 2. I'm in desperate need of a win here, guys. So I'm going to make the first pick to click for this week.
No, it comes back to me since I won.
Well, I didn't get to pick first last week, and I won.
Fine. Gonzo, you won. I'm just trying to skew the results in my favor.
Absolutely not.
Who do you got?
I want to jump on the repeat train and bring it back to Timmy.
Wow, going back to back with Tim Anderson. Okay.
That's what I'm feeling.
I like it. Gonzo, not Gonzo, Zim, who are you going to go with?
Hey, Siri, flip a coin. She's thinking.
Clearly. I'll flip a coin for you. Tails.
Tails, Luis Robert.
All right. Zim putting it to the chance of the coin that's inside my brain. Luis Robert for Zim. And I am going to go with the guy who is really starting to turn it around. I'm feeling it. I'm going to go with Yoan Moncada as my pick to click for the week, hoping he can bring me to glory and get me a win finally. So we're going to see what happens there. So a quick repeat of the picks.
I just want to point out real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to point out real quick that as hot as this pitching staff has been lately, none of us have picked a pitcher in about 4 weeks here. So just something to keep in mind for future picks. No redos right now, but I have a feeling that's going to bite us one of these weeks.
I don't want to jinx it. That's why I won't pick a pitcher.
Fair.
I pick position players because you got better chances.
You got more chances to win. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, I was going to say updated picks choices for the week. I'm going with Yoan Moncada. Gonzo is picking Tim Anderson, and Zim is going with Luis Robert. So we will report back next week and see what happens there. Let's move on, guys. We're hitting towards the tail end of the show. We got to get out of here quickly so we can move on to Draft on Tap, which is going to be awesome tonight as well. But let's move on to our next segment. We're going to preview the week coming up for the White Sox and what we call White Sox Weekly. Yeah, so let's talk about the schedule coming up this week, boys. Of course, we have an off day today, so that's exciting. That's the only reason we got LaMond on the show. And then we get 3 with the Tigers, and we get 3 with the Indians. So some pretty – the Tigers are one of those teams that have been kind of inconsistent to start the year, to say the least. So it's probably a good time for us to grab them. We've played the Indians already. It'll be a good time to face the Tigers, guys. Gonzo, thoughts on the Tigers? And I know there's some good pitching matchups that are going to be exciting in this one, but this Tigers team, what do you think?
I mean, they're last place, but they do have some, at least their pitching staff is pretty young and pretty promising. But as far as their offense, I don't see really too many bats in there that I'd be scared of. I mean, Miggy's still in there, so you always have to probably pitch around him a little bit. But other than that, nothing scared to, when you're facing them at home. The likely matchups will be Tuesday, will be Giolito and Urena. Urena used to be in Miami last year. I like our chances with Gio on Tuesday, and then you have the rookie Mize on Wednesday versus Rodon. I like our chances there as well. And then the game on Thursday is looking like Cease and Matthew Boyd. I like the lefty and Boyd. He's our best pitcher on their staff, and he's had a hot start to the season. And that will be an interesting matchup because I think Cease should have a bounce back and his probably first best quality start of the season. That's my prediction for this week. So yeah, that's what I see out of this Detroit series going into Cleveland for the weekend.
Yeah, I like it. I'm excited to see Lance Lynn come back. That was one of those injuries that kind of came out of nowhere and it kind of caught us all by surprise. But what's kind of exciting is that the team didn't really feel it. So it's exciting to see that, he can pick hopefully right back up where he was, and hopefully he comes in on Friday or Saturday and gets the start. We'll wait and see what happens there. But I tell you what, I'm excited to see the staff get back to full strength and this bullpen to keep Kopech in there, at least for the time being, and keep mowing down batters. So that's an exciting thing to see. I'm beyond excited about it. And for the purposes of time, gentlemen, let's go ahead and move on quickly to the next segment so that we can get to the last part of the show, which is going to be a lot of fun. But let's move on to our guaranteed take of the week. This is our segment. Let's see the drop. Yes, that's right, guys. We moved on to the guaranteed take. And yes, I realize we did skip the Cleveland series, but we got a lot of stuff to get through in a very short amount of time. We've played Cleveland already. We can digest it a little bit more next week. But gentlemen,
for the great game of the week on Friday though for the Cleveland series.
Quickly get it in. Go.
Friday is likely to be Lance Lynn versus Shane Bieber, and that if that does fall through, that would be my game of the week. Because Saturday is likely to be McKenzie and Keuchel, and Sunday's Giolito and Plezak, but Friday would be a great game of the week if it is Lance Lynn coming back to face Bieber.
Hell of a matchup.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be one hell of a matchup for sure. And Zim, I know you wanted to mention one stat about Detroit before we move on.
If we're going to go back to it just real quick, Detroit's lost 10 of 11, so not looking good for them right now.
Well, that's good for us, so I'm excited about that. Hopefully the bats keep hot and keep this choo-choo train a chugging. But let's get to our guaranteed take of the week and our conversation. We talked on it a little bit late or a little bit earlier in the show. When will Michael Kopech be added to the rotation? And then if he is, will innings be an issue? Personally, I think they are trying to monitor him very closely, but they want to save this kid so he's available, like LaMond said, in September and in October for a playoff push and hopefully beyond. So I think they're going to be safe with him and keep him in the pen. Zim, how do you feel about that? And do you disagree with me?
I almost think that this might be an argument between Tony and the front office because
sure.
Tony's going to say, like, let the kid pitch. He's ready to go. And, Kopech's a competitor. He's a baller. He's going to go out there and say, yeah, I'm good. No matter what. If he thinks he's good, he's going to say he's good. So it's going to be a struggle. I don't think anybody is going to have a clear picture until it happens. It's either going to happen or it's not. And unfortunately, there's no gray area. It's a really cliche answer and it's a really boring answer, but there's no telling unless it actually happens. Like as bad of an answer as that kind of is, Tony's gonna do what he wants to do in the end. But management might send him or shut him down rather if they think he's pushing it too far.
Yeah, and injuries can happen and things can happen. Trades can happen at the deadline. There's a lot of different scenarios, like LaMond mentioned when he was on the show. Gonzo, any thoughts on Kopech being in the rotation before we move on to close out the show?
Yeah, ordinary going into the season, I thought that Kopech was going to be into the rotation because I thought Rodon was going to be slipping from the beginning, but that's not the case. So what I believe is what I'm going to stick to from last episode last week, and that is that I would like for them to keep Kopech in the bullpen, and that would allow him to remain confident and healthy. And we won't have to worry about innings, and we can mix it up at the end of the season if needed by keeping him in the bullpen. And this also allows Rodon and Cease to keep their confidence up and allow them to keep progressing, because we haven't seen Rodon have a full season to this point, and Cease did have progression at the end of last year. And I know he's been slipping up to begin the season, but that's okay. He's getting it out now, and I really can see him, picking it up as the season progresses. But yeah, if you bring Kopech into the rotation too early, you risk that chance of injury and really a chance of losing confidence of bad performances, if you put him back into the rotation, which would affect the others if you demote other guys to the bullpen. But bottom line is I want to see progression from all of them, so that's why I would keep him in the bullpen.
I like it. I think we're all kind of aligned. Obviously, a lot of things can throw the train off the tracks, but for now, we are all aligned on this week's guaranteed take. Watch next week. It's a whole nother conversation about where we can put Kopech, but it's going to be a hot topic all year long, especially when he keeps mowing guys down like they're his lawn outside his house. So with that said, gentlemen, let's move into our final segment of the show. This is where we have a little bit of fun every week. We always talk about different things, right? We always talk about our favorite this, our favorite drink, our favorite ballpark food, and we dug a little deeper this week because a certain player on the White Sox, Yermin Mercedes, has been in the news. And why has he been in the news other than the fact that he's hitting the ball out of the park 9 days out of 10? It's because a restaurant in Bridgeport, Fabulous Freddy's, named a burger after him. That's right. The Yerminator burger is available at Fabulous Freddy's in Bridgeport. I pulled a little clip courtesy of the Chicago White Sox. Let's take a quick let's tune into that real quick, and then we're going to talk about our favorite burgers after that. So here we go. Take a look at this.
My name's Brittany. I'm the owner of Fabulous Freddy's along with my sisters and my parents. Our newest menu item is the Yerminator, named after Yermin Mercedes. One Yerminator. We really researched Dominican flavors, and we ended up with a special chimney sauce. We grilled the tomatoes, the sweet peppers, and the onions. The burger's $4.85. So when he hit that 485 home run, that was really what motivated us to make the sandwich for him.
Oh, where is it gonna land?
I guess the idea behind it was just to celebrate the Sox, celebrate the South Side. Yeah, do something a little more fun, and I think that's why people are so drawn to it, because it's something that's happy and good.
See? You like that? Yerminator burger. Oh, what we got here? Nice. Look at this. Oh my God. Very nice. Perfect. Dominican style. So the most important part is the chimichurri flavor. It's the most important part. It's very nice. You see, I never imagined the people's buy my burger, so because my fan is my everything. If I don't have no fans, I'm not Jeremy. Yeah, I'm having fun. That's all I got. I need to go. I need to see the restaurant too. Maybe the people call me, meet me over there, and everything's gonna be good. Thank you guys. Okay.
How was the burger? Was it good?
Tomorrow, I want a 4. Today, what's 2? Tomorrow, I want a 4.
That's so awesome to see, especially when you have small businesses in the neighborhood that can benefit off something like this as well. And then the White Sox embracing it. And there's nothing like, the Yermin fever that's on the south side of Chicago. So Yermin, obviously, he's got a new favorite burger in the city of Chicago, but I thought this would be a good segue for us to talk about our favorite burger. Of course, Zim, you can spotlight a favorite burger in the Colorado area or just in general. It'll just be a fun little conversation here. Go ahead, Zim. Why don't we lead it off with you? Because why not?
Sure. I'm actually looking up the place right now to see if they still sell burgers because it's been quite a while since I've been there, but they stuck out in my head because when I went there when I was younger, they're a small mountain town. Unfortunately, their website's not loading for me right now. My computer needs some TLC and an update. But yeah, just a lot of the places in our small mountain towns here have, elk burgers and bison burgers and venison burgers and stuff like that. And that's just, to me, it's something that's kind of unique about the Colorado Mountain region that sure you can get it somewhere else, but like this is literally like the owner went out and shot this animal and is now feeding it to you. And that's about as, fresh farm to table, whatever, I guess in this case, woods to table as it gets out here. I will say we did also just get a In-N-Out in the area.
Oh, okay.
Which lot of hype. Haven't been. I when I was in Vegas, I went. When I was in California, I went. I got Freddy's. I got all kinds of stuff. And lastly, a third one I want to spotlight is a local fast food chain out here. They're called Good Times. And a lot of people say that there's stuff similar to it around the country, but there really isn't. Good Times is strictly Rocky Mountain region. The best part is honestly the fries. They have these things called wild fries that you don't need any seasoning on and you don't need any sauce with. They're phenomenal. And then the burger on top of it, I get what they call a Big Daddy bacon cheeseburger. And it's 2 meat patties, like 4 pieces of bacon, Swiss cheese, cheddar cheese, and then their secret sauce on it. And for a fast food burger, it's probably one of the top burgers I've ever had. Like it's that good. But no, shout out if you're ever in the Colorado area, you want a good, off the wall kind of burger, go somewhere in the mountains, find a place that says grill, and then look at their burger menu. You'll find some good stuff.
I love it, man. I love it. Some tips for when you go to visit Colorado. Let's move over to Gonzo to talk about his favorite Chicagoland burger. Santiago has a guess in the chat in Portillo's, but what are you going to say, Gonzo?
Well, first off, to go with your comment about Freddy's, we all saw what Grandstand with the Yerman Ayer jersey did for them and how it helped them out. And I'm just glad to see that Yerman actually makes another appearance with them with the burger to help with their business with the times going on. It's great to see. But for Santiago, no, it's not going to be Portillo's. When Joe first thought of this topic, I really didn't know what to think at first. But then it kind of jumped in my brain what I do every Black Friday in November. I go downtown, and before shopping, me and the family go to what they call the Berghoff restaurant, which if you haven't been there, it's on West Adams Street in the city. And
German food.
It is German, so I will get Spatzel with my burger. But the burger that I chose is their burger because it's a pretzel bun with bacon and a bourbon sauce. It's my favorite. It's my favorite burger in Chicago.
Oh man, I'm getting so hungry now. Talking about all these burgers now, boys.
And it's homemade root beer that they have and other German beers as well. So can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong with the Berghoff. Good stuff there. I've never had the burger. I'm gonna have to add it to the list. My office used to be right down the block, but I have two. I'm not a White Castle guy. No, you're right, Santiago. Thank you. I'd probably be dead if I was. But let's keep going with our favorite Chicagoland area burgers. I'm going to list off 2 because there's 2 that are there's like one that's up here. And there's one that's just kind of like classic Chicago. I'm going to give you guys the classic Chicago burger right now. Okay. I'm talking about the Billy Goat Tavern. You got a couple locations. You got one by the United Center. You got one in the heart of the Magnificent Mile underneath Lower Wacker. You've seen the classic SNL skit even about it. You got John Belushi and Aykroyd and those guys. It's cheeseburger, no fries, chips, no Pepsi, Coke. And that's really what it is, man. That's just a bunch of, guys down there cooking burgers. You can get single, double, triple. They just give you the bun with the meat on it, and then they have a little tray that you can get whatever you want, your fixins. But they have the best handmade marinated pickles. Just so good in their pickling liquid. I basically just get a giant burger, and I just get all kinds of pickles and just kind of stack them. I even take a little folded bag of pickles. Zim, I see you doing that, but you got to try it. And look at this. Look at this. We have the Billy Goat Burger right there in front of your eyes. It's classic Chicago in every single way. Of course, this video coming courtesy of our friends at Chicago's Best. Man, oh man, you got beer on tap. You got delicious burgers. It's a classic Chicago dive. Born in 1934. Cannot go wrong with the Billy Goat Tavern. One of the best classic burgers in Chicago. And then if I'm going to pick my personal favorite burger in Chicago, it's a place pretty much right across the street from the Sears Tower / Willis Tower on a place called the Franklin Tap. They have amazing food, and they have all kinds of craft beers. This place is unbelievable. Zim was actually just talking about bison burgers, and this place has an unbelievable bison burger. It comes with like grilled onions, I think, and like either portobello mushrooms and like a Swiss cheese. I don't remember everything that's on it. I'm not looking at it. I'm just speaking strictly off memory. But the Franklin Tap, if you're a Chicago tourist and you're going there, you can go to the Sears Tower or the Willis Tower, whatever you want to call it, come down, grab some lunch. Look at this. All those all over it today, man. Great job, Aldo. It's right there. Yeah, you got the sweet little taps on the wall, all the food you could possibly want, great craft beers, and delicious burgers and wraps and all the whole shazam. So you cannot go wrong. There's delicious food at the Franklin Tap, and I highly, highly recommend the bison burger. Get it cooked medium. It's absolutely delicious. It's better than that salad. Not that there's anything wrong with the salad. There it is. Yeah, I get it without bacon. But you can't go wrong at the Franklin Tap. And if you want to be a super Chicago tourist, you can go there for lunch, go upstairs to the Willis Tower, come back down when it's time for dinner. Right around the corner, Giordano's Pizza. Yeah, that's right. The ultimate Chicago tourist destination for deep dish pizza. So those are my favorite burgers in Chicago. You got Gonzo's below, and you got Zim's take on when you go to visit Colorado. We've talked about all kinds of stuff tonight, guys. And most of all, I want to thank our guest, LaMond Pope, the Chicago Tribune White Sox reporter, member of the Baseball Writers Association of America, an all-around great guy, killer guest. Thank you so much to LaMond. It's been a great show, guys. A reminder to everyone that's still here with us, tune in directly after us, right around 9:15, between 9:15 and 9:30. Draft on Tap's coming up with some NFL draft coverage. NFL draft's coming up Thursday night. What are the Bears going to do? Tune in tonight as Danny Shimon and Neil Stopchinski walk you through it. Aldo Gandia is going to be the GM. It's going to be a lot of fun. So hang out for that directly after us. And gentlemen, it's been a great night talking White Sox all night long. Before we get out of here, I'll toss it to you guys for some last-minute shout-outs. Steven Zimmerman, what do you got, buddy?
Hey, just for anybody listening to Draft on Tap tonight, Neil and Danny really know their stuff. Just keep in mind that we're talking Chicago Bears here. So when they say they don't like a guy, that's probably the guy that the Bears are going to go with. So just kind of set the bar low, get prepared to be pissed off later this week, and come back to us on Monday for a show about a team that actually knows how to win some games.
I love it. He just dropped the mic right there. Nicely done, Zim. Gonzo, any last-minute shout-outs before we get out of here?
Yeah, Joe, you might have to help me out with Adam's last name because I always screw up last names. I think it's Adam Schwinn. Sham. Yep, Adam Sham. He gave us a really great shout-out on Twitter, and I got to give him the shout-out back to him because it was a very generous tweet. But yeah, our chat room, get ready for Draft on Tap because it's going to be a great episode. And it would be the most Chicago thing to do is to draft a cornerback to replace Kyle Fuller after they just let him go. I just feel like that's something that Chicago would just do.
Yes, that's right. Ha ha. I guess we'll wait and see on Thursday. Going to be a fun show with Neil and Danny coming up next. Last minute shout outs. I just want to thank everybody in the chat that hung out with us all night. There's been great conversation. You guys all know who you are. You're fantastic. You asked some great questions. And then, as always, I always shout out my lovely wife, Catherine, and my Great Dane puppy, Maverick. I love you guys. Every week I get to do what I do because of you. And with that said, guys, a huge thank you one last time to LaMond Pope for joining us. Join us next week as we have another very special guest. We have Ryan McGuffey joining the show. He's the producer over at NBC Sports Chicago for White Sox content. He's going to be a great guest, so make sure you join us for that. It's going to be awesome. And with that said, guys, let's get out of here, get you ready for Draft on Tap. So go White Sox. Let's get another 6-game win streak running, or just make it up to 10-game win streak, 6 more in a row. And we'll catch you guys next week on South Burbs Hitmen. We'll see you guys then. Go White Sox.